Aroma through Italy, branches of the same tree, dancing leaves floating downstream. This is how creation sings, here to be what we're meant to be. If one can see, we all can see, forming our reality. This is how creation sings. This is how creation sings.
Welcome to Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center. My name is Gary Eisenberg, and it is my privilege and pleasure to be your service assistant today. Unity of the Valley is part of Unity Worldwide Ministries, and you can find us locally at 350 North Orchard Avenue in Vacaville, California. At this time, we may be physically distant, but we are all spiritually close, and we can't wait for all of us to get back together again and celebrate in person. That time will come. Let us begin today's service with prayer. Dear God, thank you for this glorious day. I start this day filled with your hope, faith, peace, love, and joy. Today, I'm especially grateful for your divine hope. Your divine wisdom teaches me that hope is not pretending that troubles don't exist. It is the hope that they won't last forever, that hurts will be healed and difficulties overcome, that we will be led out of the darkness and into the sunshine. And with this hope comes a sweet sense of freedom as I release all that does not contribute to my highest good. Gone are my negative feelings, habits, and actions that do not serve my highest good. I am no longer bound by any of these. I am free. As I close this time of prayer, I want to thank you, God, once again for watching over all our healthcare workers, medical researchers, and all our essential workers. Fill them with your divine grace and protect them with your love and strength. And so it is. Amen. Well, good morning once again. Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center is alive and well. We are here to serve and support our congregation and our community with our mission statement, close at heart. Here at Unity, we are transforming lives. Yes, we are. Inspiring growth, creating loving community, and of course, shining the light of God. We are so blessed to have such a strong online presence with our Sunday and Wednesday services. And we are so blessed to be able to offer other Zoom opportunities like our YOU are experiencing right now. For more details on this YOU Zoom meeting, please contact our office at unityvv@pacbell.net. The job of service assistant comes with great power and responsibility. And I have been given the power to be able to look right into this camera lens and see you as you truly are. Yes, you are a beautiful child of God, perfect in every way. You are loved unconditionally, just the way you are. Let's take that in and affirm it for ourselves together. I am a beautiful child of God, perfect in every way. I am loved unconditionally, just the way I am. It is time for our community announcements. This first announcement I am so excited about because it speaks about why I love Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center so much. Unity offers me practical Christianity. It is Bible-based. It is non-denominational. And if Unity were to have a textbook about Unity's beliefs, guidelines, it would be the book Lessons in Truth by H. Emily Cady. And we are so lucky to have a new class being offered to explore this book. People tell me that each time they read it, they get a different experience. So if you have read it before, or if this is your first time, you will want to sign up with this class taught by Reverend Dalia Adams. It will be a Zoom meeting. It will be held Wednesdays. Right now the time is 11:30 to 1 o'clock. You are going to contact the office at unityvv@pacbell.net and indicate that you would like to sign up for this class. That will teach you everything you want to know about Unity. So be sure to check that out. Now, our next announcement, I just want you to imagine with me, you're at home. The table is set with fine linen and your best plates. Candles may be lit, and you are ready for a wonderful, scrumptious dinner. And the best part is, you don't have to do any of the cooking. When that table is set and ready, all you have to do is go to Tahoe Joe's April 30th and pick up your dinner. For the low, low price of $20, you have your choice of steak or barbecue chicken breast or Sierra ribs with all the fixins. You'll bring that back home, and you and your loved ones will experience such a wonderful time dining and eating, and at the same time supporting our center. So make sure that you check that out. Tahoe Joe's, April 30th, low, low price of $20. You can go online. You see that tile on the screen. You simply click on it, which is on our front webpage, and it will take you to the place where you can purchase your tickets. So thanks again for your support. Next, I'd like to talk about another way of supporting our church is by going to unityvacaville.org and clicking on that orange donate button. During these times of sheltering in, that is what our center is depending upon in order for us to keep the lights on, to be able to tithe 10% to our community. We are counting on your donations and counting on you clicking that button, you will be so glad that you did, and our center will be so appreciative. Thank you. We affirm that we are beautiful children of God. And sometimes during the week, we forget. And if you need help remembering that, our prayer chaplains are simply an email away, simply by emailing unityvv@pacbell.net. A prayer chaplain will be in contact with you to pray with you if you or a loved one are going through any kind of challenge and you need that prayer support. And if you like to share a joyous celebration with them, I'm sure they would be glad to hear from you and to connect with you. Prayer chaplains, I know you're watching, and you so bless us with your presence. Thank you. I often wonder what my life would have been like if I had unity growing up. Well, we are so fortunate here at Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center to give our young people that unity experience. Right now, our YOU, or as they're known, Youth of Unity, are meeting in a Zoom meeting, and they too are repeating the statement of faith. How our lives are changed by simply repeating the statement of faith together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the Good.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Sunshiny day. Look all around, nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue skies. Do 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 do. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. My name is Reverend Dalia Adams, and I am so happy to be here with you today. And wasn't that song beautiful? I love the words, I can see clearly now. That is a good place to be able to see clearly. We've been focusing in this year 2020 on peace. And when we are at peace, when our hearts are at peace, we do see more clearly. We're not clouded by our fears and our judgments that peace allows a clarity of perception that's amazing. And the other way around, when we see clearly, we contribute to that experience of peace. We contribute to the peace in all of the people that we meet, in all of those around us. So today we are talking about peace, which is our theme for the year, and we are also talking about how we see things, how we hear things, how we take in information, and what we make of it. The words, "grant me right perception," are a line from a prayer that St. Francis would pray, and more about that later. But we'll look at that deeply. What does that mean, and how do we do it, and why do we do it? Grant me right perception. So if we go to the great authority, Google, we find that perception is the ability to become aware of something through the senses. A pretty simple definition, and really it is, because there are thousands of definitions out there that are much more complicated. The ability to become aware of something through the senses. So the senses are our sense of sight, sense of smell, sense of hearing, sense of taste, our kinesthetic sense, our sense of feeling. So through these senses we take in signals, chemical signals, electromagnetic signals, light signals, pressure signals. But the key in that definition, the part that makes it a challenge, is the word aware. How is it that this information that we manage to pick up, these signals that our senses pick up, how is it that those signals become part of our awareness? Awareness is linked to the word consciousness. And when you start exploring what is awareness, what is consciousness, that is a huge mountain to climb, or a deep well to explore. And I don't think anybody has fully understood the meaning of the word awareness. But somehow these signals become part of who we are, what we know, what we see, what we believe, what we know to be true. And we'll look at that a little bit more today. Another definition that Google offered up was the process of getting, selecting, organizing, and interpreting sensory information. So the getting that's the piece where the signal exists, and our sense organ has the capacity to pick it up. But then the process of selecting is very interesting too. Apparently, according to research, we pick up about 4%, not 40, not 14, 4% of the information that is around us. What happens to the other 96%, and why is it that we pick the 4% that we pick? And then organizing those bits of information that come in and interpreting, making sense of them, giving them meaning. So that's all part of the process of perception. In psychology, cognitive science, medical science, the science of artificial intelligence, many different fields have studied this and explored it, and there's mountains of information about it, but let's look at some basics. This is an image that has often been shown for many, many years, and it depends on what catches your eye. If you're drawn to the black part of the image, you see a goblet. The goblet is called the foreground, the thing that pops, the thing that you see. However, if your eye is drawn to the white part of the picture, you see two people facing each other. And you do not see a goblet. Once you have seen the people and you have seen the goblet, your eyes are likely to shift back and forth between goblet and people. But it's really hard to see both goblet and people at the same instant. You can shift back and forth very rapidly. And then if you haven't seen the goblet yet, you might be sitting there wondering, what in the world is she talking about? There's just two people there. Or maybe if you have seen the goblet and you haven't seen the people, you might also be thinking, what people is she talking about? You can look this up online and play with it, and there are many others like it, and they're kind of fun. And it's the same bits of information, but what we take away, what we see, will be different from person to person, from moment to moment. Here's another one. This is a wonderful story I've heard many, many times. I don't know its origin. I should, but nevertheless, there are 6 blind men who come across an elephant. So they start using the sense of touch to determine what is this object that they came up against. And one man says it's a rope. He's holding the tail of the elephant and he says it's a rope. The man next to him is feeling the side of the elephant. He says, no way, it's a wall. It's a wall. And the man just next to him is holding the elephant's leg and says, no, it's a trunk, like a tree trunk. And the next one is holding the ear. He says, no, it's like a big fan, but it's soft. And the next one over says, no, it's some sort of weapon. It's a sharp, curved weapon. And the last one, who's holding the trunk of the elephant, says, no, it's a snake. You guys have it all wrong. Now, if each one of these men is willing to allow that the other's perception may be true, that there may be truth in what each person perceives, they can come together and come to know what an elephant is. They can approach the truth of what's before them. But if they dig in, saying, I'm right and you're wrong, they could spend a lifetime proving their point. Here's another example. Okay, there's 2 men standing on each side of a number, and one of the men is very definite that it is a 6. And the other one yells back, no way, it's a 9. And the other one says, you blankety blank, I know what I see, it's a 6. And the other one says, how could you possibly think it's a 6 when it's clearly a 9? Anybody would see that it's a 9. Perception, viewpoint, how you see it, how it comes into your awareness, right? And we do this. I mean, look at what's happening in our country politically. People stand on each side of an issue and know, because they can see clearly. They can see clearly now that it's a 9, that this is the only way of interpreting those signals. And the other person is standing from another vantage point and says, this person is an absolute whatever, I won't say it. Perception. And that's one of the things about our experience of perception. We believe what we see. We know what we hear. I heard you. You said, da 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 da. No, I didn't say that. Okay, so when we have this experience of perception, our default is to know that we are right. When I have heard something or seen something or smelled something, I know what I perceived and I am right. And that's where the problem is. And that's why there in a prayer. St. Francis every day would pray a prayer, and it was about a paragraph long. And I remember reading it when I was in Assisi. It was on a bronze plaque in a church where he would come and kneel every day and pray. And the whole prayer was written out, and it was so beautiful. I memorized it, and I knew that I would never, ever forget it. It was so beautiful. And then I forgot it, except for this one line: grant me right perception. And I had two reactions to that prayer. One, it didn't feel as heartfelt, as warm as the prayer of St. Francis that I was raised with. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. That one really pulled at my heart. This one seemed a little colder. But the psychologist in me, because when I went to Assisi, I had already gotten my graduate degree in psychology. The psychologist in me knew that this was powerful, because I knew the power of perception to shape our lives, to create who we are, to make us who we are. How we see things makes a big difference in how we experience this day and this week and this month. How we see things makes a big difference in how we move through this virus crisis that we're in. How we move through this pandemic experience is colored so profoundly by what we see and what we hear and the meaning that we give to the events. So St. Francis prayed every day, grant me right perception. The truth is perception is not just on automatic pilot. We learn to see. We learn to hear. We learn to taste. If you've ever gone out to try to learn how to taste wines, there is a practice and an art and a learning to that. Or if you went to train to be a chef, you would have to learn how to smell and how to taste very, very well. Or an artist or a photographer learns how to see in ways that the general public might not. A musician learns to hear in ways that I will never hear. We learn to see, we learn to perceive. That little picture there is a robin, and that robin is holding a worm. And baby robins, as they grow up, have to learn how to see worms. And there's study after study that shows that. We all need to learn how to see what we see. In the animal kingdom, it's called developing a searching image. Once they get it, it just takes once they get that this object is meaningful in my life, it will see that worm from that time forward. Remember I said that we humans only take in and organize 4% of the stimuli around us. 96% get filtered out. Well, part of the learning to see is saying, okay, that gets selected. From now on, I see that. I don't let that get filtered out. I was in a psychology class, and the professor asked us how many baby squirrels we had seen that day. And it was springtime, so there would be many baby squirrels, and not a single person had ever in their lives seen a baby squirrel, including me. I had never looked for a baby squirrel. You know, I noticed the adult squirrels that were a little bit more brave and out and about. But from that day on, I saw baby squirrels everywhere in the springtime. So we learn to see, we learn to what to select, what to make important. what requires us to give it meaning, we learn to see. This was obvious, again, a story that I've heard told many, many times. So I don't remember the origin. But there was a day at school, elementary school, and the little children were given the task of drawing a picture. And the assignment was draw a picture of yourself, and underneath the picture, write me. So everyone will know that that's a picture of you. So most of the children drew a picture something like this, and they wrote me underneath it. And there was one child in the class who was of Native origin. This child was raised with tribal traditions, and this was his picture of me. It included the mountains and the bushes and the trees and the dogs and the birds and the rabbits, but you can't see the rabbits in that picture. And underneath it, he wrote me. Because his understanding of who he was his oneness with his family, with the animals and the plants and the earth. So all of that was me. So we learn how to perceive. He saw himself very differently from the way the other children saw themselves. We see what we focus our attention on. And in Unity, we talk about that all the time. That which we focus our attention on grows and becomes stronger. And that which we ignore fades away. So that's a little cup, and it's there because you can hide some chocolate under it. And at one point you'll be asked to focus your attention on a cup just like that. There was an experiment that was done in 1999 by Simons and Chabris, and it was called the Selective Attention Test. And I have several times been in workshops where the video of that test was shown. And the video is introduced. What it is a group of people in a lobby area playing basketball. Some have dark shirts, some have white shirts. And the task that those of us in the audience had was to count how many times the players in the white shirt passed the ball. So I was sitting there counting, and I think I got up to 9 or 10. And then the video ended, and the leader of the workshop asked us how many times we saw the ball passed. And people answered anywhere from about 5 to 13 or 14. And the leader of the workshop then said, no, the ball was passed 15 times. I will show you the video again, see if you can see all 15 times. So I watched again, and I was very, very attentive, and I could see 14 of the passes, but I couldn't see the 15th. And so we talked about how many times and why it is that we miss things even when we're looking for them. And then she said, how many of you saw the gorilla in the video? And no one had seen, we had seen this video clip twice, and no one had seen the gorilla. Can everyone see the gorilla in the picture there, in the snapshot? Okay, you've had that in front of you without it moving. So then she showed it a third time, and still not everyone was able to see the gorilla. A person dressed as a gorilla walked through the entire frame, and it was possible to not see it. So selective attention, part of that filtering is automatic. Part of it is by choice. So more recently, someone repeated that with a simpler setup, and it was uploaded by Marissa Webb 2 years ago in 2018. And so she tried the same thing, and what she did is she hid that piece of chocolate under one of those cups and then manipulated where the cups were, and your job was to know at the end of the experiment where the chocolate was. And she did that with 3 cups. I will not show you that one. That one's pretty easy, even I got it. Then she repeated it with 9 cups. And she told everyone that the chocolate will be under one of the red or pink cups, the whatever color you see there. And so you knew all you really had to do was follow the red cups, but the others were a distraction, and that was stated, that these are distractions. So I will show you now the video of how this worked with 1 piece of chocolate and 9 cups. Okay, here it goes.
So now we're going to make it a little more complicated. I've added an extra pair of hands, and I've added additional colors here. But that's only to distract you from the pink cups. The pink cups will always have, one of the pink cups will always have the Hershey Kiss underneath. So let's get started. So can you guess where the Hershey Kiss is?
So, there we go. How many of you were able to stay with that and know where that piece of chocolate was? How many of you saw the duck? And how many of you noticed that we started with blue cups, and at the end of the exercise, all the blue cups were gone and were replaced by green cups? You watched it, right? It was right in front of you. And I bet anything that there is a part of you right now saying, I saw it, there was no duck, and the colors were not switched. Because we saw it, and we put so much emphasis on the truth of what we see and what we hear and what we make of it all. So I'm going to show you the video again. Look for the duck, look for the colors changing, and pay attention to where the piece of chocolate goes.
So now we're going to make it a little more complicated. I've added an extra pair of hands, and I've added additional colors here. But that's only to distract you from the pink cups. The pink cups will always have, one of the pink cups will always have the Hershey Kiss underneath. So let's get started. So can you guess where the Hershey Kiss is?
Okay, so this time my guess is you may have seen the duck. You may have noticed how those silvery cups, they're actually blue, were replaced with those green ones. And maybe you were also able to follow where the piece of chocolate went. So all of this to realize that perception, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste is not absolute. There are signals out there, and we pull in a small percentage of them, and then we make meaning out of them, and then we know we are right. We know that we are right, and that so-and-so that sees things differently from me, that person is wrong, right? If I could see your hands, I could ask how many of you have ever experienced that, and every single hand would have to go up. So, when St. Francis was praying, "Grant me right perception," I imagine that what he was saying to the God of his understanding was, teach me to see it right. The very first experience I had with unity was at First Unity Church in St. Petersburg. The minister was Reverend Alan Robotham, and one of the first teachings that I got from him, and he would say this over and over and over again, when you are faced with a difficult situation that you want to grow through or move through or maybe even change the situation, you never ever begin by taking action. You begin by seeing it right, because you might fix it completely wrong unless you first see it right. And there were layers and layers of meaning to that, and we'll go into that on other Sundays. But for now, we begin by seeing it right. And when we pray for right perception, we are praying to see it right, to see the truth in that situation. We are also, along with St. Francis, praying, teach me to see through the eyes of God. You know, we can, especially in our interactions with people, we can begin clashing and then begin judging and seeing ourselves as right and better and the other person as not as good and all wrong. But through the eyes of God, how would it look? Through the eyes of God, each person might be a beautiful child of God, perfect in every way. And the details of what they are agreeing or disagreeing on might not be as important as the truth that each is a child of God. Each is an expression of the divine. Each, at the very deepest level, is perfect just the way they are. When I was taught counseling, my best teacher, the wisest teacher that I had, and the most powerful therapist I had ever met, would teach us that the most important thing was not the diagnosis, not the techniques we learned, not the many tricks or tools that we learned, but to always sit down with the person and to see them perfect just the way they were, and to know that within each person they had everything within them to grow and unfold and become all that they were meant to be. So teach me to see through the eyes of God. That's right perception. Teach me to focus my attention on truth. Just like that example that I gave, I could focus on all the things that that person did that made me angry or disappointed me or left me feeling betrayed. And the truth here is that I'm having difficulty with what's going on, and there is pain that I'm experiencing. I'm feeling hurt and upset. So the truth is that I need an experience of love. So I pause, and I love myself just the way I am, upset, distressed, possibly wanting to judge, but I love all of that because the only answer, the only pathway to healing that pain is not the other person changing, but the love that enfolds me. For the love of God always enfolds each and every one of us. And to awaken to that, and to feel that love, and allow that love to express through me and direct it right back at me. That's focusing my attention on the truth in that moment. Truth with a capital T. Focusing on truth might be also acknowledging I really don't like what is happening here. I want with all my heart for this person to do things differently. However, fixing this person is not mine but God's to do. That experience of the divine within them is the only thing. The experience of divine love is the healing power. So I'm honest with myself and I acknowledge what I value. I acknowledge my reaction to all of this and I love myself even in the midst of it. And then somehow, to the best of my ability, I acknowledge that this other person is also a child of God. Because that is the truth. And there are times when this is so hard, so hard. I have found myself praying, God, I know there is a truth. I know there is a truth, and I just cannot see it in this moment. In fact, right now, I cannot even look at this person. I cannot even listen to what this person is saying. You look at that person. You listen to that person. I release all of that into your hands, for this is your child. This is a child of God. And I've got some growing and learning to do, and trusting that through you, the highest good is unfolding despite appearances. And we say that in unity, we see truth despite appearances. And that's where unity really interlocks with psychology, cognitive science, artificial intelligence, that delve into this whole thing of perception. It's powerful, it's amazing, it's wonderful. And we need to know that just because we saw it, just because we heard it, just because we smelled it, that is not truth with a capital T. It might be science, it might be worth considering and taking into account and using as far as guidance in our actions, but always seeing past all of it into the truth that God is present in all circumstances. God is present in this pandemic, not causing it or foisting it on people, but as I walk through my experience of the pandemic, knowing that wherever I am, God is my source of strength. That is the truth to focus on. Knowing that whatever my experience of this pandemic might be, that God is wherever I am, and God is love, and that love is carrying me through this situation. That is the truth to focus on. There are other truths with a small t, but we have to be careful of those. The truth with a capital T is where we find our strength, our certainty, our love, our understanding, our wisdom. So it all brings me back to the very first teaching that I absorbed from unity, which is to see it right. And that's a picture of my first minister. And I thank him for that teaching. And I offer it to you. We can join together in praying, God, grant me right perception, and then go through our days with the intention to see it right. Namaste.
As we enter this time of meditation, I invite you to become still. I invite you to take your favorite meditation posture and let the music of Narayan and Janet enter your heart. Fill your heart as we now center within.
Love breathes through me. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through everyone and breathes through me. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through everyone and breathes through me. I breathe the earth, the sun, the skies, and then the night, your starry eyes. In our breath, creation sighs. The breath that draws my gaze within and gently flows outside again. The breath of love that we live in. Love breathes to me. Love breathes to me. Love breathes to everyone and breathes to me. And when the world's too much for me and all my fears feel unrelieved, I feel peace in air I breathe. The temple bells, the oceans roar, our spirits with each other soar. The God of love comes back for more. I am divine, I know it. I am pure love, I know it. Because God breathes love into me. We are of love's creation. Our breath is love's elation. Love is all that we can be. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through everyone and breathes through me. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through me. Love breathes through everyone and breathes through me.
And so we move deeper, deeper into our time of meditation. I invite you for a little while to focus your attention on the movement of your breath, even as you hold the truth that love truly does breathe through each and every one of us. Notice the movement of your breath as you softly say to yourself, love breathes through me. God is breathing me right now. Infinite love is breathing through me. Allowing each breath to take you deeper within. deep into that sacred space within you, where you feel, where you know, where you see the presence of God. Where you know that you and the God of your being are one. That sacred space within you, where you hear the voice of God, where you hear the wisdom of God, where you feel the guidance that is the presence of God. That sacred space within you where you know and you feel that you are enfolded in the love of God. And that love moves through you now. That love breathes through you now. And from that sacred space within you, you know you see through the eyes of God. From within that sacred space, you see the truth of God in all things. That sacred space within you that allows you to know that wherever you are, God is. And so for a little while, in that sacred space, rest in the truth of these words: wherever I am, God is. Hold those words in the silence. Love breathes through me right now. God breathes through me with every breath that I take. God breathes through me. Holding that affirmation in your heart, Allow yourself to gently and easily bring your attention back to the present moment, to this time and this place. Take a nice deep breath, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And then when you're ready, join with me in saying thank you. Thank you, God. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Dalia, for that wonderful talk. Today, Reverend Dalia talked about truth with a capital T. And a truth that I know with a capital T is that I must tithe to that which spiritually feeds me. So together, let's say, God's love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am and have, all that I give and receive. I am grateful. If you would go to unityvacaville.org and click on that donate button, our center will be much appreciative of your financial support. And as you fill out your information, if you would simply type where you see it circled on your screen, Sunday service, that would be much appreciated as well. It is through right perception that I see all of you giving freely of your time, treasure, and talent. We join together in unity, affirming together. The inexhaustible resource of spirit is equal to every demand. There is no reality in lack. Our abundance is here and now manifest. Now join with me in the singing of our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Now peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment, live each moment, peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
Let's join together in the prayer for protection. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. We are one holy family. We celebrate our oneness and honor our diversity. And so on this glorious Sunday morning, as we close our service, it is time for gratitude and thanks. First, I would like to thank, talking about right perception, did you notice the beautiful flowers this morning? I would like to thank our flower committee for the beautiful flower arrangement. We are so appreciative of your efforts and making our sanctuary a place of beauty. Thanks to Narayan and Janet again for your music that is so wonderful and connects us all together in spirit. Thank you. Thanks to Mike Fincher on audio, John Working on video, Teresa Meadows, our center manager, couldn't do any of this without her, and of course, our beloved Reverend Dalia Adams. And so as we do close, let's affirm together, today and in the week to come, together, I see through the eyes of God. One more time. I see through the eyes of God. And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.